car.
Andy's driving around the United States, so he asked me to fill in for him. Les, do you want to start us with the minutes from the last?
Do that.
From the last?
Do that.
All right, last October 19th, Andy kicked it off at 7:03. Welcome everybody. There's a bit of new business. Andy requested a confirmation of the quorum. I was able to confirm that. Angela then made a motion to nominate Lois for vice president and myself as secretary for the next year. Dave Chia seconded the motion, and the motion passed by voice vote of the club. And Lois told us about the 2023 San Diego County Fair. The team is looking for team members for their photo exhibit. She invited everyone to contact her if they were interested for additional information. Mary made a motion to approve a proposed rule change for the year-end club competition. Angela Andrews seconded, and the motion was passed by a voice vote of the club. I read the previous meetings from the September 21 meeting. They're read and approved. Upcoming events, Jeff discussed instructions that would be forthcoming regarding submissions for the year-end photo.
Online submissions for the year-end competition is opening December 1st, so that's coming up soon. And the deadline is December 23rd at 11:59 p.m. And we'll submit the entries through the Darkroomers submission platform. And if you don't have a login, then you need to contact Jeff so that he can set you up.
What are those deadlines?
It opens December 1st for online submissions, and it closes, the deadline is December 23rd at 11:59 p.m. Judges are Annabelle Parle Sewell, Susan Kopic, and Larry Vogel. There are 8 categories: architecture, cityscapes, birds, insects, animals except birds and insects, people, landscape, waterscape, monochrome, still life, and other.
Can we get that emailed to everybody or put on the Slack?
Yes. The images must have been accepted into a monthly exhibition during 2020, and members may submit
2022.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Members may
Reach it
submit
back.
up to 10 images. Okay, the other deadline to remember is December 14th, and that's the quarterly submission deadline. The theme this quarter is the road less traveled. And so far, the first 3 quarters, Rick Phillips leads the monochrome, and Rick, Catherine Evans, and myself are tied for first in color. Coming up on November 19th at 3 p.m., we're having a photo shoot at Crystal Pier, a sunset photo shoot, with dinner following at Mandarin House at Wind and Sea. And December 7th, the first Wednesday of December, Angela's been planning a holiday social, and I think the details are still being worked out on that, but it's the normal first Wednesday, so something about around 7 p.m. The judge for December is Teresa Jackson, and that's right before Christmas, December 21st.
First day of what?
And Dave, do you have anything from the SCAC meeting that you want to share?
The only thing we're doing with the SCAC is we're doing a couple things with it. We're trying to clean up the kitchen area. We're consolidate some of the lockers. I got a couple of action items going into the park maintenance regarding the termite issues. A couple of spots that have been identified. I don't know what we're gonna do on the tiles and stuff. We had no water damage on that last big rain, which was kind of surprising. A couple spots where it was damp, nothing came through. We're getting a new refrigerator at some point. I've been kind of looking into that, and I don't know what we need, that's gonna be up for Robin and them to decide, how big basically to replace it is.
Well, it's gotta fit through one of these doors.
I talked to Costco and Home Depot, and they're willing to deliver and take the old one away, so, if we go that route. But the cheapest thing I can find for a one-to-one replacement is about $650, so.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything special, just something to keep it actually cold, so. That's all I have for the SCAC.
What about the backboard back here?
That's just me being lazy. I got the plywood, but I even got all the runners and everything. I just need about 4 hours of my own time to get down here and put it up.
And then
It'll be done before the holidays, right?
And then the outlets.
Outlets are the same thing. I got the outlets already. We have a grounding wire running through everything. I've already looked at that, so it's just a couple hours to come down and do it.
And then what about the heater here? We're coming into it's gonna be 40 degrees tonight.
Oh, I guess I should have brought down some batteries, because what it was the controller that we thought was miswired was just all super corroded up inside there. So actually it may work, but I just didn't bring the batteries to run it.
Oh.
But, yeah. I swear to God, I got a trip this weekend, but I'm gonna, by December, first week of December, I'll have this thing, be down there working.
Do they ever talk? I know that each club is supposed to do their, cleaning and da-da-da-da-da. And that bathroom was so gross last time we were here.
Have you been in it tonight?
No.
It is spotless.
Okay.
We had, there's been a lot of discussion about this actually, and, there are several of us that would like to have a service come in quarterly, but that was kind of poo-pooed. And one of the, I don't know who Rick belongs to, but.
Rick belongs to the Poly Photo, was Rick Wiley, thank you.
He did a terrific job, those things are, you can't eat off them, but I
He
mean.
came in and cleaned himself?
Oh, yeah, they're all squared away.
I was just gonna say, if each organization don't give so much money, or even I'd be happy if everybody donated a couple bucks or $5. I mean, I'd rather do that than come in and scrub a toilet. I mean, I don't really wanna do that, and so.
You can pay me.
Well, if somebody's willing to do it, I think.
I'll give you $5 to clean the toilet, Dave.
I have to be able to eat off of it.
Oh, gross.
So, let me see, $5 a piece, $5 a head, every month. We're good.
We're good.
Put a thing on the door to open it, you have to put a buck in.
I like to have
Yeah, no more quarters.
in all seriousness, every club has a monthly schedule that we're
Right.
supposed to be in here taking care of things. I would like to see a quarterly cleaning service come in, and I mean, it's relatively inexpensive when we got SCAC has money.
So can we, as our group here, when it's our turn to clean, could we pay somebody to come in and do that rather
I
than
guess
if
we
we don't
wanted
want
to.
to?
use SNAP dues.
Huh?
The issue,
But we're paying SCAC.
Now, the issue is that if one of them falls down and gets hurt, then it's on SCAC and the city, because they can, sue SCAC and the city.
But if we
Well,
get
so
hurt.
can we.
Well, so could we. Couldn't
And
we?
if it's a business, they should have their own liability and their own workman's comp.
Well,
It shouldn't
because
be
it's the city, you have to hire city-approved people to do it.
If you're gonna pay prevailing wage to have somebody come out here and do it, that's where
Well.
the cost goes up a lot.
But I had the guy that group that Al had before, that came back September of 2021. They were licensed, they were bonded, they were city approved, and we can get them back in here again.
How much were they?
They haven't got back to me with an estimate yet.
Well, inflation, I'm sure
We could
prices
always
have
sign them
gone
up
up.
as a member and they could just come in and clean. We could pay their membership dues.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Speaking of membership dues, there was an email that went out today and a notice on
Slack?
Slack, thank you. You can print out the form and,
You can actually fill it out in your
Yeah.
online and then print it out.
anyway, the forms are available and the dues then can go to Dave and $45 a year. So that's
Dave takes the dues and the forms.
And the
That's all
forms,
set.
please, yeah.
So that's all I have for tonight. It's,
You can mail them to me or bring them next meeting.
okay.
We do need a volunteer for the membership director next year. Did you?
No. Membership, is that the only?
That's an urgent one. I mean, as you look around here, you'll see that based on previous years, we have probably a fraction of those members showing up than we normally have, which means that our membership is on decline. And without a membership director to go out and actively talk to people, to go out to camera stores and other places and actively recruit members to come join us, in this endeavor here, we don't raise the money we need to pay our bills. And so we're either gonna have to look at cutting services or cutting something out just to, support the waning membership. So we need somebody who can go out and do that, go out to camera stores and, put our cards out and talk to the staff and have them promote our club or help us promote the club. Go out to other meetups like PPS or PPSDC and talk, about Darkroomers and get people to come join us. To reach out to members who haven't shown up in a while and try to get them to come back. There's a number of people on our roster who have not come in recent months. OC is one of them. And so, a membership director is responsible for helping us get the club back up to its numbers so that we can meet our financial obligations. Plus, the more people we have that come to meetings, the more fun it is. You get to share more experiences with people and have more people clean the toilets, I guess, for Joyce.
Have more people giving me $5 so I can clean it.
All right, well, we'll get those, top, or categories for the, year-end on Slack.
Did you need something more than, and they'll be on the submission site, so you'll be able to see what the categories
Well,
are.
it'd be nice to know ahead of time.
Yeah, it'd be nice to
We can
know.
easily get those up on Slack. Okay, so I guess we're ready to start. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce Alex Kuntz. He's originally from Germany and is a professional landscape, nature, and real estate photographer who now calls San Diego his home. He is a photography and is a professional landscape, nature, and real estate photographer who now calls San Diego his home. He is a photography and Lightroom tutor, and you can see his work at alex.kuntz.com. He is the current president of the Sierra Club, San Diego chapter's photo section. He judged for us in 2021 on Zoom, so we're pleased to have him here tonight, actually judging printed images finally. Welcome.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Is that where I get up?
That's
Put your song and dance.
Yeah, I used to be here before judging print, so I'm glad that you guys are back doing this with print, because judging over Zoom kind of sucks. The
Tell that to
quality
Polly.
is, Zoom restricts the resolution to I think 900 pixels high, and that's really difficult to judge how good a picture looks. And anyway, we should all print the pictures.
All right.
And we're starting with mono.
But yeah, I wanted to say I've just been chatting with Janie, and you probably all know this. I'm only human, and all judging is subjective. So I guess to get your pictures up for judging means that you've grown a thick enough skin to take an honest critique, which is not an easy thing to do. So I appreciate that you come out and show your work here, and don't take it personal, but you can simply say screw that guy. I'm bringing my picture back next month, and a different judge might have a different opinion. So it's totally valid to keep that in mind and just be confident of yourself.
We brought a lot of Kleenex.
Yeah, I forgot mine, I couldn't hand out. Okay. The picture has beautiful detail, very sharp. The black mat looks great too, with this kind of black and white image. What I particularly like is the bold choice of composition here to put this huge rock in the foreground. What's also nice is this arrangement of these three elements in the frame, and how it's like a almost kind of circular composition where the eye can wander around in the frame and take it all in. There's nothing in the image that distracts. There's nothing in it that could be taken away. It's really down to the essence of what needs to be in the frame. I do have to make a very high-level complaint that there's this one white trail of an airplane in here. I would have cloned that out, but it's a very minor distraction, except if cloning that out is appropriate.
Oh, yeah.
I really like the light in this one. It's a very good choice to present this scene in black and white. The combination of light and shadow is beautiful. The arrangement of the elements is very nice and pleasing. You get that idea of the building having almost like a face with the opening being eyes that kind of give me the idea of that it looks into the light where that's coming from. I think it's very important that when such elements are in a photo, something that implies a sense of direction, that the composition supports that and gives that direction room, that a look or a movement goes somewhere or comes from somewhere. That's a really nice choice here to place that building that has this element on the side and give it room on the right side here where that light comes from and where we can kind of sense something and feel something that's in this space here, which is this light that falls onto the building here in this angle. I see there's a tiny bit of noise, or it's maybe a texture in the sky, I'm not sure, which works well and supports the image. I would say there's a tiny bit of a halo around that building here where that noise or texture disappears, so I would perhaps rework that a little bit to make it more smooth, but nevertheless it's a really beautiful image, except a very classic scene from the Eastern Sierra and the Alabama hills. If you've ever been there, this place can be a zoo where people stand in line to make that picture. wonderful, wonderful tones in this one here. The tonality in that rock and how the lighter areas in the distance and the sky work all together is really, really beautiful. The eye obviously is guided to the distant mountain range here, which is not Mount Whitney, as I've learned. There's excellent sharpness throughout the entire frame here, so great control of the depth of field. Compositionally and with regards to the treatment, there's just nothing to complain about here or to pick out. Simply really well done black and white image, except
Small field tonight, final model.
I really like the foggy, misty, mysterious appearance. The treatment is really, really nice. I can see that there has been a very deliberate amount of burning applied in the foreground to guide the eye towards the center here in these areas. Works really well. There are details that we can pick up and that help us to take the frame in slowly, like this foreground tree trunk here that leads us onto that river, and then to the building that's half obscured here, almost as if it is hiding behind those shrubs. So it's a really great point to put the camera and make that picture. Unfortunately, there's some artifacts in here from the printing, some vertical stripes here that go through the entire frame. So I'm thinking this must be something with the printhead. And the other thing is that in the sky here, in particular on the left side, there are very small dots that I'm not sure what they are, but I find them in the print up close a bit too distracting, so I'm gonna pass on that one. I like the evening mood of this, the long exposure, how it blurs the water is a good choice to use a slow shutter speed for this scene. Even though the movement in the on the water rocked that boat a little bit, so there's some motion blurriness, which is okay, I guess, because it kind of conveys a mood here. So it's calm, serene, the entire scene. What I find a little bit distracting here are these fine dropouts in those lights on the bridge. I'm not sure what might have happened here and what causes this. It's perhaps something to look into when working on the image on the computer, because I'm not sure how that happened, but it looks like it shouldn't be like this. So I'm gonna pass on that one. Animal portrait that fills the entire frame, and is really well done with regards to the sharpness and the control of the depth of field in combination with the blurred background. There's good control of the camera here, and being able to fill the frame entirely with the bighorn sheep here is of course a great treat. It's a kind of a cute detail here that the mouse here of the animal has a little bit of a green tinge from browsing in the shrubs. So it adds that little element of a story that helps us to get an idea what was that animal doing, because it looks like it's kind of surprised, oh, there's someone with a camera, not what I'm eating. So it's nice to have that element of a story in a picture, in particular with wildlife and with people. And again, technically, it's absolutely perfect, except it's great that the photographer's eye was attracted to a subject that's seemingly a bit more messy and chaotic. I really like these things, complex scenes that have a lot going on in them. It's not always easy to organize things in a picture like this. It works really well here, in my opinion. We have these curved lines that dominate the entire picture. The choice of color rendition and processing is also very good. It has a little bit of a washed out look almost. The sky is kept relatively bright, which is not the most obvious choice when you have a sunset sky. You're often very tempted to keep that dark and very saturated, but in this situation, making that brighter helps a lot to make the main subject, which is this dead tree, stand out against that sky a lot better. So really good choice, and technically there's nothing to complain about here except well-known scene for everyone who's been at Mono Lake, I guess. I think is this called Shipwreck Tufa or another one. Beautiful light, calm and serene scenery. Unfortunately, on close inspection, there's a little bit of a haloing or an artifact that looks like perhaps camera shake or another kind of lack of a stable enough camera in some way. especially visible here on the sides of this formation, which almost seems like a little bit of sideways movement. So when you have shutter speeds like this, you need to make sure that your camera is very stable. There's also a lack of detail here, which means perhaps that image was underexposed and then the shadows were brought up a lot, perhaps too much, and the shadows, the file didn't hold the detail for that anymore. So with regards to the mood, it's nice, but on the technical level, it's lacking, so I'm gonna pass on that one. Clearly more on the challenging end of the photographic spectrum to make night photos of the Milky Way, where everything is sharp throughout the frame. Very often you have to work with really high ISO sensitivity or other amplification of the signal, which leads to noise. And that noise can be just a grain, but it can also be color noise. And in this picture, the color noise are these clouds that we see in the night sky, which are very, very dominant. I think it's possible to control those in a raw file, that kind of noise. If the photographer wants to chat with me about that, reach out later on. The idea of the image, to put that ocotillo here, that kind of blends into the Milky Way or reaches into the Milky Way is really nice. It works well. The two shooting stars are a nice extra treat. I appreciate that these were not taken out. The difficulty with such night scenes is also to get the stars as dots, which works well here. But towards the top end of the frame, there's a softness that, in combination with the camera noise, I find a little bit too much as a combined distraction, so I'm going to pass on this one. It is very nice to see a picture here that's made inside this well-known formation instead of from the overlook looking down, which is the almost perhaps over-photographed scene. I also like the fact that the photographer stood smack dab in the middle of the trail, which adds a sense of realism instead of idealizing a location like this as this untouched, fantastical place. But not only that, the trail acts as a really nice compositional element that leads into the frame and kind of invites us to think about, well, how might that continue back there? It's inviting. It tells a little bit of a story. It makes us curious when we look at the picture. So I really like this idea. And to just challenge how this particular location is normally photographed and to say, I do something different, I include that trail here. So really nice idea. And besides that, technically, it is also on an excellent level. It's sharp throughout. There's no deficiencies in the developing, so accept. I really like the abstract nature of the frame. One of these pictures where it's perfectly clear what's in the photo, which is not what an abstract is normally about, but yet the framing is so tight and it picks out these individual elements and combines them in a way that almost elevates what we're seeing into something else and something new. On the technical level, the image is perhaps a little bit soft. There's a couple of tiny artifacts and blue halos here that could maybe be reworked, but the combination of the light and the strong framing outweigh these small distractions, so I'm going to accept it. That's fantastic. I have no other words for it because it's something that I would look at and consider some messy little detail that I would never photograph. But the person who framed this and made this picture saw something in it, and it absolutely works. The strongest element is perhaps the color contrast between the blue in the water here and the warm orange tones in those leaves that have been collected here by these twigs almost in a way. Almost forms like a little bit of a heart shape, just an added detail. And there's this flow in here with those twigs that are hanging in the water that I would normally consider a total distraction that I would want to get out of the frame, but here they actually support this flow and round up the frame at the bottom. The sharpness is excellent, beautiful detail, great control of the highlights as well. Respect for seeing this and photographing it that way and bringing out these qualities. Except another beautiful animal portrait, again filling the frame really well here, capturing what feels like almost a tender moment between the two animals. So really good timing to wait for that or to be lucky enough to capture it at that very moment. It's almost like these two are exchanging some thoughts, perhaps. Depth of field is good. The sharpness is maybe not at the level of the other bighorn portrait that we saw earlier, but the strength is really in capturing the moment here. So I'm going to accept. It's another picture where the timing matters a lot to get this compositional element in here of the two beaks kind of forming this X or V shape or maybe reversed Y shape. The framing is nice and tight. Has a lovely background blur. The highlights are very well controlled, which in these kind of images is not always easy because you have a white bird against a very dark background. So it's something to really be aware of when you control the camera. The sharpness is very nice, and I also like the very subtle editing of the picture. I think it will be very tempting to bring more color pop into the photo, which is completely unnecessary because it works so well the way these two birds are arranged here in the frame. Except I really like that this image at first makes you wonder, wait, what am I looking at here? How does that even work? And then it's not very visible from afar, I guess. There's a couple of smaller ripples here around this blade of grass here in the foreground that reflect a little bit of blue from the sky, which reveals, okay, we're looking at some very, very clear water, and everything that's green here is actually underwater. The photographer has chosen to bring out those colors in a very bold way, which is a good choice, because it really works with the strengths of the picture. These different dots of color that are here in these small leaves that are floating on the water, and a little bit of reflected blue here. The arrangement of these elements is also very nice, that you have this blue hint here and then a warm yellow tint here, which is kind of on the opposite end of the color spectrum. That's a nice little touch. It's beautifully printed and sharp, except really nice autumn scene here with those aspen trees. What I particularly like is that it's not photographed against the sun. We always hear that, oh, to photograph the aspens, to make them glow, you need to shoot against the sun or have strong sidelight. This picture works despite the fact that it doesn't have that. One element of that is, of course, that the aspen trunks here work really well. A combination of 3 is a great number to have in a frame in general. Somehow our eyes like that a lot, very often. We can make out that it's a sunny day and the highlight is controlled very well. What I like about this color rendition is that it really conveys this sense of autumn as the season that is fall, and that is an ending because the colors are very much muted. So it is an entirely different interpretation of these typical aspen scenes. So that's a really good choice. Except just a very good action photo. I like the choice of the framing here, the aspect ratio, probably like a 2:1, which supports the subject and where the action and the movement is. And it also helped to limit the background, which is perhaps a little bit distracting. The shutter speed is maybe a little bit too slow to really freeze that water, but the moment itself, the way it is captured, is really, really good, except I like the candid moment that has been captured here. The subject is very much in the center of the frame, which is something we often think we need to avoid. But in combination with the background here, I think it's a rather conscious choice that the photographer made. It's not an accident. I do see that in the girl here on the face, there's a fair amount of noise, whereas the background is relatively smooth. So that would perhaps be something to look into, if that can be controlled a little bit better. But I like it for this quality of being a candid portrait here that's taken out of this moment, except so obviously we don't know if that was a lucky moment to capture this scene as it was unfolding, or if the photographer and the person here in the white dress are related to each other or know each other, so it was kind of like a planned thing. But what was surely not planned was that person walking into the frame and looking slightly irritated, which is a very funny element here in the picture. The highlights in that dress are well controlled, and it makes the viewer just appreciate what's going on in the photo, except I guess it's a herd of sheep now.
Bighorn Wednesday.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Well, judging from the red rock in the background, it's not Anza Borrego. We don't have that red rock here, but yeah, just Another really good one. And here too, you see this element of direction in the frame. The animal looks towards the right here, so there's room here for that gaze to go more. It's tighter on the left side here. Good choice to do it that way. And technically, really nice image, sharp throughout, and soft red background works great here too. There's a very tiny element here that looks like maybe some content-aware clone or remove has been used that stands out a little bit as a sharp edge here in that otherwise very smooth background. So maybe I touched that up, but nevertheless, great picture, except.
And our last one for the evening.
Close. Make a different noise.
It's a great action shot, and the way it is framed here against the background and the placement of the animals in the frame is very good. There's a dynamic here at play. The two horses that are fighting, I assume, I don't know too much about their behavior, are shown in context of a herd that the fight might be about. So that's a story that's going on here that we can understand, that we can take from this image. So it works really well. On a technical level, it's perhaps lacking a little bit of the fine detail, so I wonder if that's a stronger crop here, maybe. And or maybe that comes from how the image was edited. It looks a little bit coarse to me, as it is on the paper. And there's a little bit of haloing going on around the animals here on the sides, which isn't too distracting in itself, but in combination with this coarse appearance, I think I'm gonna pass on that one.
Okay. Take a quick break here and then we'll come back and talk about it all.
Tonight, this is great camera.
Yeah.
And then Andrew had sent out an email with the details about John Russo's funeral. I assume most of you have seen that, just a reminder that it's coming up. I can't think, what is it, August, or no, it's November?
It's Saturday, isn't it, or Sunday?
It's a Saturday after Thanksgiving, I believe.
Okay.
I can't, can you see it, Joyce? I can't
Oh,
see it.
yeah, I'm looking
It
for
is
my
Saturday after
glasses.
Thanksgiving.
That'd be the 26th. Or the 20.
Yeah, 26.
Somebody.
26 at 11
The
o'clock.
26th at St. Anne's Church. Okay.
Right at the edge of my body.
Sorry, let me tone that down.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is Bighorn Ram by Richard.
No! Does that fly?
Surprise.
Well, I was so lucky. I got to spend an hour with 4 rams and 2 ewes in Valley of Fire. And that's the background, of course, is the Red Rock Valley of Fire. And I was just me all by myself, and 4 nice big rams and 2 ewes. And they actually came to me I had some distance on them, and all of a sudden they started, and they were eating, by the way, and they kept coming closer, and then they came out from the chaparral up into the rocks, right, like 30 feet from me.
And you started to run? Then you started to run?
No, they're not aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, they're not aggressive towards people.
Uh-huh.
But, so that was just a real, that was
Maybe they'll
really,
be this.
that was really special.
How many of your crackers did they eat?
Huh?
How many of your crackers did they eat?
Are those animal crackers?
Okay, this one is flipping out by Janie.
Sure, the zero.
This actually, it was sort of a combination of a setup and a happenstance. The girl is celebrating her first communion, and she's in a national park in Ireland. We saw her from across the water, and we thought it was a bride, and then got there, and it's like, no, it's first communion. And so she was very accommodating and had a mother who was very accommodating, and so she posed for us. She had a beautiful bow and headdress on the back of her head, but she got bored with it, and she and I were sort of standing off to the side. I said, would you like some more pictures? And she said yes. And I said, can you move for me? And she kicked her foot up over her head. And I said, oh, that's great. And then her mother said, oh, she can do cartwheels. So she did, and this was about the 4th time she'd done a cartwheel, and this gal was trying to get to the chapel that was out this little walkway. So yeah, she is annoyed because she's been held
That's what I
up.
like about it, is you can tell that person walking by is annoyed.
Is annoyed,
You know,
yeah, she was,
yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Where is this in Ireland?
Guggenbara State Park, National Park. So, off near, I'm trying to think, I think it's near the Ring of Kerry in that area.
Yeah.
I'd have to think about it, yeah. Killarney, I think it's near Killarney.
Okay, this one is Dia de los Muertos by Mary.
Mike and I went down to Old Town for the celebrations. And there were 2 young girls that were dancing in the courtyard there, and they were really cute. So.
Yeah, the background really fits the image, yeah.
And this one is Big Wave by Jeannie.
This is Alaska, the Inside Passage. We saw one humpback whale that breached 20 times in a row.
Wow.
And more than that, the captain and I both lost track of how many times. Didn't never seen one do quite that much. But it was good because then it gave you an opportunity to sort of time it and figure it out. But this was one of the few times there was a fin up in the wave. So.
Were you on a cruise ship?
On a small wooden motor yacht. It was one of Rick Collins's tours.
Rick Collins.
Sharon Webster's brother.
Yeah, I know.
This one's Afternoon at Lower Rock Creek by Mary.
We went up to Mammoth, I think the 3rd week of October, but we missed the peak of the fall colors. But there were still a few places where there was some leaves left, and this Lower Rock Creek still had quite a bit of color.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
Nice catch.
Yeah, I really like that.
I would hang that.
The composition is really nice.
I like the light coming in from the side.
Yeah.
And this one is Submerged by Lisa.
This is in the Hoh Rainforest in Little Lake National Park in Washington.
Where was that?
Little Lake National Park, the Hoh Rainforest.
Yeah,
Where you
yeah.
set for spring.
Yeah.
This one is American White Pelicans by Michael.
Yeah, this is out at Santee Lake. We go on a bird walk with the Second Monday group, and they just happened to be there. Got lucky.
There's a second Monday group?
Yeah.
It's not Tuesday morning.
No, it's a birding.
Oh.
I just tag along because they know what birds we're looking at. I just have my camera.
Oh, the bird.
And this one is Friends for Now, Richard.
And and that describes it. They were, they're coming into rutting season where they will be enemies. But when it's not rutting season, they run together, and there was 4 of them running together with 2 ewes, but they were getting sort of lovey, and they weren't doing the big things, but they were starting to butt heads and everything. And these 2 were starting to actually tangle up their horns, and so I thought that Friends for Now did it really well.
Yeah, it's like the side eye, the left one sort of giving side eye.
Yeah.
I like the horn just wrapping around behind.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a real special hour. I was really very fortunate to have
Did you
that.
have to hike very far to see these guys? or
Pardon?
Did you have to hike in very
No,
far?
about 5 miles. I saw them off, they were the highway, the main highway, and they were about a quarter of a mile
Wow, they
back.
They come right down along the road.
This is Falls Last Holdout by Dan.
Magnifico.
Yeah, so that's up at Whitney Portal Campground, and I was up there 15, 16, 17 October timeframe, shooting fall colors, and at Whitney Portal I was well past peak, and so that was the most color I found, right there.
Okay, you found it.
Yeah.
Well, that and the bright red branch that's about a third of the way up from the bottom of that is no longer in that image. But yeah, that's that was, I thought, a cool little capture.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. And this is Literary Ladder by Janie.
Good thing.
Oh,
Yeah, this is in the long room at Trinity College.
Yeah. yeah.
And it's how they get up to the second tier. That this bookcase on the left is just one of, I don't know, like 24 bays, and then there's 24 bays on the other side, and then there's the same thing duplicated on a second floor. And this is the only way they have of getting up to that second
So
floor.
it's not ADA compliant, I guess.
No, it's not. I assume there's an elevator in the back somewhere, but for the clerks who are going to retrieve something from up above, they do that. And then they have these little duck holes. There's just a little door in each set of stacks so that they can scooch down and go to the next one. So if they're going for something on the other side, they have to do that 24 times, and then they have to come back the other way. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's huge.
beautiful image.
It's an impressive place.
Yeah, really nice.
You got a recent fondness for alliteration, I see.
And this is Queen's Garden Trail at Sunrise.
By who?
Oh, I forgot. By Michael.
Yeah, this was last summer, and pretty much out of the camera. I had to clone out some, I guess that trail, or some distractions on the left. But yeah, I like the trail. No sheep.
Pulling out some sheep. Should've called in some sheep.
Yeah, we were up there with our grandkids and got them out of the way. And didn't have to clone them out.
And this is Sunset at Minaret Vista by Michael.
Right, that was on the same trip I did go with Mary on this one. And so we had really good clouds 2 days, got up there just in time. And of course, this is looking east at Minaret Vista. And there was that cloud. And I like trees like this, particularly dead trees. And yeah, there it was.
Yeah, I like the way the tree stands out.
Yeah, they just kind of like
Subject, and it just.
opened their arms for me. Yeah.
I wondered what kind of
all
tree
that
it was,
shade
so you
there.
know.
Yeah, they're dead pine trees.
It's a dead tree.
I think I'm not sure what kind of pine tree.
Did you desaturate the foreground, or is that?
Yes, yes. I took saturation down on the grass and brush there. But I had test printed, and I thought the cloud was just too saturated, so I also brought that down a little bit. I didn't want it to overpower the image.
Very nice.
It's like a mushroom cloud.
And this one is Bighorn Ram by Richard.
Oh!
Trifecta.
Surprise.
We're gonna have to create a category for Rams now.
Yeah, it was just so lucky, you know, I was probably a football field away from them, that's where I tried to stay. And they were out eating in this brush, and then they kept coming towards me. And then, like, from here to the wall, they turned and went up into the Red Rock. And then they came down on the other side of me, like 30 foot away, and went out. But they came to me as opposed to me going to them.
You know what's weird is that there's a football field out there.
I do love the green, you know,
Yeah, well, they were eating. And they eat those leaves off that brush.
chaparral.
It's really like yucco, you know?
Manzanita or something, right?
This is Lone Pine Peak by Dan.
Yeah, so that's that mountain.
This
That
Not
mountain.
Mount Whitney.
Yeah, that mountain. That
And,
mountain.
That Whitney's behind you.
Yeah. Mount Whitney's to the right, and you can see it through
Is
the
it?
arch, but it's not very impressive.
Right.
And that's pre-dawn
Oh.
on a Tuesday morning, so there was nobody there for the first 20 minutes I was there, and then people started showing up.
So that was pre-dawn,
Yeah,
and you decided to go black and white, wow.
well, it was first light, it was kind of, the image was a little flat, and I've seen a million of this in color,
Ah, yeah.
and I
okay.
said, you know what, I've never seen one in black and white, so let me play with one in black and white. And that's
What arch is this?
Mobius arch.
Yeah, that's
Mobius, okay.
a pretty famous arch.
We went there with Darkroomers.
Yeah, I've seen it just in
Yeah.
black and white.
We were there for sunrise. I have a picture of your shadow as you're waving. And
Yeah.
Well, we had a great sunrise that
I'm
day.
taking a picture.
We had a great sunrise. We had the orange peaks, what do they call that?
Yeah,
The Alpen Glow.
The Alpen Glow, thank you.
Yeah, they turned bright orange. Now, if there would have been some snow on those peaks, I think it would have been a much better image.
Yeah, we had all that. We had the
It wasn't quite
snow.
there. This was
In fact,
actually the
it-
morning after that other image.
When we went up there, it snowed on Whitney
snow.
Portal.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was lots of fresh.
I fell down a number of times.
And this one is Port Townsend Lighthouse by Lisa.
That's up in
Yeah, that's-
Washington.
Beautiful.
yeah,
Nice quality of light.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
yeah, the tones are just outstanding.
Good job.
Anything else?
And this one is Life on Mars by Dan.
Yeah, so that's Goblin Valley State Park in Utah. Pretty commonly photographed place. And that boulder in the foreground is maybe 3 foot tall. It's not very tall at all, so I just laid down on the ground and shot a few images because the goblins, again, millions of images of those. And I just thought that would present something a little bit different than most people shoot. So, very cool.
I thought it was
That's it.
misty.
What's that?
I thought it was misty. No?
Fan of Galaxy Quest, that's where they land.
Yeah, where they did the rock monster hunt?
That's where they fight the rock monster.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
All right, guys. Alex, thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.